Welcome to the Creativity Podcast, where we chat with creative people from all over the world. I'm your host, Ben, and today we are sitting here with my girlfriend, actually, Maria Luisa. Maria, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm Maria.
Yeah, as if as if I didn't know how you're doing today. As if we didn't spend the whole day together anyway. Maria's pretty cool. I like her. I'm a fan.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. No, she's cool. She's very creative. I don't think she considers herself particularly creative.
Not at all.
But she does a lot of graphic design. She does some painting and drawings of visual art. She does a lot of traveling, which for some reason I feel fits the I feel like traveling's pretty creative. And more than anything, you're a polyglot.
Gee, I am.
Right? So first thing you'll notice about Maria is that she talks a little funny.
Yes.
So let's
In all
explain.
languages, actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we're speaking English now.
Yes, hello.
But what's your native language?
Spanish.
I didn't know that. Maria.
You didn't know that?
Mucho gusto conocerte.
A ti también, man.
So Maria is from?
Colombia, South America. Somebody once asked me if Colombia was in Russia, and I was like,
Really?
No. Yes, when I was in England. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, and here they speak Spanish. We're both in
Apparently.
Colombia right now, by the way. We're broadcasting from Colombia. The last episode was broadcast from Massachusetts. They were here from Colombia. I don't know where the next episode is going to be broadcast from. But yeah, so Maria speaks Spanish,
English and French.
And French.
Hopefully.
Very well.
French
No,
would
she
say
speaks
otherwise.
French. She speaks French well. The Parisians even say that Maria speaks French well. And if the Parisians give you a compliment, they're not lying.
So we wanted to explain to them why I speak like this.
Yeah, so tell me about your accent.
So that's the first thing anybody asks about me, and it's a fun story. So I was born in Colombia, so obviously I speak Spanish. And when you're born in Colombia and you're learning English, the mainstream accent that you learn is the American accent, believe it or not.
Accent?
Yes, because people believe that it's easier. I digress. But everywhere you learn American English. But then my family moved to England because of my dad's job. We stayed there for a year, 2015, 2016, I believe, yes. And obviously I arrived there. I already knew how to speak English because my mom was very nice and she paid for private lessons for me. And so I had been taking English from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. every Saturday for like 5 or 6 years. So I knew in theory how to speak English. The first time I tried to actually speak it was horrible. It was a disaster. It was a McDonald's and they asked me, oh, what do you want? And I was like, I blanked completely. I didn't even know how to say soda. Well, anyway. And so I spent a year in England, and obviously all of my classmates spoke like this. And what does a 14-year-old girl try to do when everybody speaks like this and she doesn't have any friends? So she emulates it. And at first, it was sort of a soft emulation of what I heard, because obviously you cannot really do it because everybody thinks you're making fun of them. But then as time went on, I realized that I had picked it up as a way of speaking just by the mere fact that I was listening to it every day. But the problem is now I cannot talk like an American anymore. I cannot say computer to save my life.
Computer.
Computer.
Water.
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 It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
I think you got it. I like when sometimes you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my accent. I'm starting to sound like an American.
That's my biggest fear.
Let us know in the comments if Maria sounds American to you guys. But yeah, so our favorite story to tell is how we met each other. And we always, we're sitting around the table. Somebody asks us how we met each other. And I'm like, oh boy. Buckle in. So, Maria, I wanted to give you now... It's an incredible story, for real. It's a long one, but it's incredible. And I wanted to give you the opportunity now, or us the opportunity to explain that story in full. So, fasten your seatbelts, people.
Finally, this is my time to shine.
Straight out of a rom-com.
Yes. I was traveling through Europe because during the summer of 2022, right?
Yeah.
I had gotten accepted into an exchange program in Sciences Po in Paris, and that was my dream for like as long as I could remember. I wanted to study in France
Sciences Po is like the Harvard University of France, right?
for political sciences and social studies. It's a very very hard university to get in, and so being able to be accepted, I was really really happy. Since I was going to begin my time in September, I begged my parents to let me go to Europe beforehand so I could travel around. I had already been in Europe because I lived in England, and so we traveled a lot, but it was different. It was my time of traveling. But everything kept on going wrong. So I arrived in Spain and I had this horrible allergic reaction. Everything. Obviously, the euro versus the Colombian peso it's a horrible conversion. Thank you. And I didn't have any money. I was eating once a day, McDonald's. Somebody stole my phone, like not even a week in, and I was having a really, really, really bad time because I was all alone and I didn't have anybody, and so I had gotten to Lisbon somehow.
So you started out where?
I started out in Madrid because that's
okay.
like the first
Spain.
Yeah, in Spain. That was the first port that you arrived in as a Colombian. It's the easiest one to get in.
Makes sense.
And afterwards, I went to Segovia and then to Salamanca and then to Sevilla, and then I crossed. And by the way, Sevilla was 41 degrees Celsius, so it was horrible. I was melting. So I crossed over to Lisbon, and my dad was obviously incredibly worried about me because everything was going wrong. And he said, well, you have to stay with a friend of mine so he can keep an eye on you. And I was...
Because you got your phone stolen.
Yes.
And that's your fault, right?
Well, it was absolutely horrible that my phone hasn't gotten stolen in Colombia, which is supposed to be like the dangerous place, and I get to Europe, like the safest place in the world, and my phone gets stolen, and I had to pay 500 euros to replace it. I didn't have 500 euros. That was like all of my savings. And so obviously my dad said, well, you're not staying in a hostel anymore. And so I ended up in the house of this guy who was my dad's friend. But I was very disappointed because the hostel that I was going to stay in Portugal was really, really, really nice. And I really wanted to stay there. And so the second day that I was in Portugal, I decided to go there to see what I was missing.
So now let's cut to the B plot. I mean, for me, it's the A plot. But
it's the Ben plot, so it's a B plot.
Okay, the Ben plot. So... I was backpacking around Europe for a few months. I had just graduated university, as you say.
Yes.
And it was literally like a few days, like less than a week after the graduation ceremony, I hopped on a flight to Paris, and I was backpacking, roughing it. Well, my version of roughing it, sleeping in, crowded hostels with like 12 other guys, and sleeping in my hammock out. And I slept under a bridge once. I slept in people's backyards without them knowing. I slept in the woods, and it was fun. It was a really great time, and I got really tired after 2 months going. I hitchhiked, actually. I hitchhiked from Paris all the way down to Spain, and then...
With a really nice lady, an old lady.
Oh my gosh, there's so many... Yeah, I met so many great people along the way, and we're going to have to go into depth some other time. But for now, it's just the B plot. So, I ended up staying in Portugal for a while because I was getting tired. I didn't want to keep changing beds every 2 nights.
How long had you been in Portugal, in Lisbon, by the time that we met?
I had been in southern Portugal. I stayed there, I think, 2 nights, and then I stayed in Lisbon 1 night. So this was my 4th day, I think,
I see,
in Portugal, and I was in Lisbon. And of course, how was I making ends meet? I was busking, I was street performing. I had my guitar, and I had these little castanets on my feet, so I could like jump around and sort of dance and do a little jig to make the percussion sound, and then I was singing and stuff. So that's what I was doing throughout Europe in pretty much every city I went to. And Lisbon is just such a great atmosphere. It's so beautiful, and I ended up going to the beach. Lisbon has some cool beaches. I went with some random Canadian dude who I had met at my hostel, and we were there. We were at the beach, and I was like, wow, this is so romantic. This place, this country, but like specifically this city and this this beach in particular is very romantic. I was like, I could see myself meeting a nice young lady here and falling in love. Transition whoosh, back to A plot.
And so I had gotten to the hostel. I had gone in. I said hi to the guys, and I suddenly see this beautiful sunset. I was
You were outside the hostel, right?
yeah, but I had already gotten in, and I was
Okay.
they had told me you can see the sunset from upstairs, from the terrace, but I don't know why. I just said no. I'm gonna just walk to the edge of this mirador, this point of view where you can see it. Is that how you call it?
I don't know. A viewpoint?
A viewpoint. There is no word in
Mirador
English for
sounds
mirador.
cooler.
Yes. So I'm standing there, just seeing everything. I'm feeling lucky that I'm able to watch this beautiful city, but all by myself. And I remember to my left there was a techno party, and to my right there was this guy jumping up and down with castanets on his feet, playing guitar. And I was like, "Huh, this is interesting." And I watched him for a while. I was like, he plays. It sounds really really nice, and it added to the ambiance of what I was seeing and doing. And I don't know why I had this feeling like I have to talk to this guy. Now, keep in mind, you were like a few feet away. I didn't quite see you. So it wasn't like, oh, this very handsome. No, so I really, really want to talk to this guy.
Meanwhile, on my end, I was singing a few songs, and I noticed this girl. And she was sort of like leaning against the railing. It's like how do we describe it? It's like a cliff almost, right? So you can go up to this railing, and there's a big drop down. You can see the whole city and Lisbon is just Google a picture of Lisbon. It's absolutely gorgeous. All of Portugal is. I'm going to say that so many times on this show, but I absolutely love Portugal. We do. So I see this girl. I go, to be honest, I think I told you that I thought you were really pretty
thank
at
you.
that moment. To be honest, I couldn't see your face. You're a little bit too far away, and I don't know if I was wearing my glasses or what, but
No, you weren't.
I don't really remember what you... But I was like, there's a girl over there. And I just thought about, being at the beach and meeting somebody, and I just was like, that's it. I noticed you. And I said, And I was like, should I go talk to her? What am I going to do? Just stop singing this song randomly and go? Like, that'd be super creepy. I can't just do that. So anyway, the girl turns around and walks away.
Well, while you were discussing that, in your mind, I was also having my own sort of dilemma. I was like, should I talk to this guy? But I have no money, like absolutely no money. I'm not going to pay some random guy when I don't even have money to eat. But if I don't pay him, will he even want to strike a conversation with me? Will he get angry? Can I just walk on to him and be like, hello? No, that's weird. And so I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to turn around and I'm just going to walk. And I began to walk. As I was walking, I said to myself, like, this is the last time in my life I'm going to see this guy ever again. What am I scared of? There's just nothing. So I turn around and I march up to him and I say, hey, I have no money to pay you, but I just wanted to let you know that I really, really enjoy the music and it's beautiful and it really made my day. And so he answers,
well, if you don't have any money to pay me, maybe you can give me a number instead.
I was like, oh my gosh. Now, nobody had ever asked for my number before. Like, that had never happened to me. And I was like, huh.
Yeah, Maria likes to pretend that she was like a lonely child.
I was
with
a
no
very
friends.
lonely child with no friends and no person really, really like had any romantic interest in me at all. So these things never happened to me before. And I was like, okay. So I pull up my phone, my new fancy iPhone 11 phone, cost me an arm and a leg, and I began to give you my number, and you go.
Oh, and I said, are you from? So I noticed the accent, but I also noticed a little bit of no, I'm not going to say spice. That's going to get me canceled. I noticed a little bit of like a little twang to it, and I was like, are you from England? Because I was thinking maybe England, but maybe like Austria, but studied in England or something like that. So I go, oh, what, like, you're from England?
And I go, I'm not from England. I'm Colombian. I just see his face light up. And keep in mind, that never happens because the only two reactions that you get when you say that you're Colombian is, oh, coffee, and where's Pablo Escobar? So this was very weird to me. Like, this guy just looked at me as he had won the lottery. I'm like, what is...
Well, because I'm always just looking for people to practice Spanish with, because I think it's very fun.
That was your angle.
Yeah. So, yeah. So then I said... Bueno, entonces podemos practicar español, parce.
No, without the parce, because by that time you didn't have a Colombian accent. Yeah, not at all. I was like, oh, cool. And like, I just said, oh, now I have somebody to practice Spanish with. That's cool. And so then I say, well, I looked down and he has his guitar case open and he has like a few euros. I'm like, oh, well, at least I'm glad that you're making some money. And you answer.
Just about enough to take you out for a beer. And that was the last time I ever said anything smooth till this date.
Now, in my head, I just had ding, 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 ding. And I was like, oh my God, is this guy asking me out? And so two things combined, the fact that I hadn't eaten anything the whole day and the fact that this very, very handsome guy was inviting me out.
You know.
And I was like, okay. And so he said, well, let me play this last song. And as he played his last song, I went back to the place where I was, just sort of took a moment to take in everything. I was like, this is going to be interesting.
And Act 1.
That's Act 1?
That was Act 1.
Okay,
now
Act 2. He finishes his song. He goes, well, I need to leave my guitar in the hostel. Now, keep in mind, it's quite late. Not late, but it's already dark. And I just begin to follow this guy. He goes down these empty roads and these alleyways. And now I am a law student and my passion is criminology. And now thinking back at it, I don't understand how I decided to follow this complete unknown person down these very empty, dark places. I don't know what was going through my mind. He didn't murder me or kidnap me or sold me into trafficking. But he did end up going to the hostel and leaving his guitar there. And then did you...
And I got my sweatshirt. And you know what? Waiting, because I actually had plans with my Canadian hostel roommate to go out for just to hang out that night, to maybe go to a bar or a club or something. You know, I go up to the room and he's just hanging out there. And I'm like, dude, you will never believe it. I'm sorry I can't hang out tonight. But I met this amazing girl while I was street performing. It's super cool, and we're gonna go out for drinks. And he just looks at me without hesitating a beat and goes, I'm like, oh my God. Keep in mind, I met this guy yesterday. So yeah, we're not in contact. We're not friends, and I don't regret not hanging out with him. Yeah, he's a little
his
weird.
priorities were a little skewed, if you ask me.
Yeah, dock 1 point for the Canadians. Sorry, guys.
And,
Sorry, But yeah, okay. So then we went back down.
Yes. And
no, I went back down. You were waiting for me.
No,
outside.
I was not going to go upstairs. But then, who proposed to go for a sangria? Did we just begin to walk around? How did that happen?
I wanted a beer, but then you saw sangria on a menu outside and seemed to get really excited. I could go for a sangria. So we sat down at a little restaurant, like an outdoor patio table. Got a couple of sangrias and just chatted, and she was asking me these very difficult, very intense
small talk.
Me neither. Though that's why I like. It wasn't. So what do you do? What do you do for work? What did you study? What's the biggest regret you have in life? Jesus Christ! Give me a minute to think about that one.
Yeah.
A few questions like that. I was like, interesting. All right, we can make conversation. And then
I told you that I really, really wanted to see or to listen to fado music because it was my second day in Portugal and I hadn't found any place.
Fado being the fado or faro?
Fado.
Fado is the music. Faro is the place.
Yes.
And I went to Faro to listen to fado.
Yes.
And apparently they have nothing to do with each other, and I was very disappointed.
Faro is also in Spanish. Faro is a lighthouse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I never made that connection.
That's why it's called like that.
And Faro, it was the first Portuguese town that I went to. I went from Spain to Faro to Lisbon. Faro is like on the southern coast, so it makes sense that it has a lighthouse. Interesting. Anyway, I said, you know what? I went to a fado place last night. Let's see if we can find it.
Which was very promising.
Which was hard for me because I suck at directions. And so we just sort of walked around a little bit, and I pulled out something from my sleeve.
So was it not the same place you had
No,
gone to?
It was. I don't know how I found it. It was
destiny.
It was magic.
Yeah.
So we went to this little restaurant. We had
You got me potatoes.
Oh yeah, we had potatoes, and we had
that was so good.
And we had port wine because you hadn't tried it.
Yes.
It's so good. It's super sweet.
That's what I like.
It's some kind of, I don't even want to pretend like I know what it is. Some sort of fortified dessert wine, whatever the heck that means. Very, very sweet, sort of like this coffee liqueur that we're drinking right now. But yeah, we like sweet drinks.
Yeah, I like sweet drinks that don't taste like alcohol, basically.
But Bailey's tastes like alcohol.
And so
you can taste the rum, I think.
Fair enough. But you combine the two things that I like the most, like sweet alcohol and free food. Like
free food?
Yes. The way to a Colombian heart is the stomach, definitely. And so we sat down, and like these people they were sitting on a table, and then suddenly they stand up and they begin to sing fado in turns. I was like, oh my God. And I really wanted to record it, but this is such a tiny place that if I took my phone out, I was going to record them in their faces, and I thought that it was impolite.
But the funny thing is that this whole time, I was like, I'm going to want to remember this. For some reason, I just knew. And I ended up taking an audio recording of the whole thing, which you, the audience, are listening to right now. How cool is that? I mean, I'll play it like in the background while we're talking.
I see.
But,
Okay,
but yeah, it was really cool. We have this really, like, I mean, photos are nice, but we have so many photos, but now we have this really cool, intimate audio recording of our very first date together.
Yeah,
great.
And you held my hand under the table.
Oh, yes, I remember. I was nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, me too. You were so tentative. I was like, oh my God.
I'm gonna do it. Touch.
Yeah, no, my heart was beating really, really fast. And so we stayed there until it was really, really late, and I just looked at my phone. And the thing is, my dad's friend, he was responsible for me, and so he kept texting me like, "Hey, where are you? Are you okay?" I was like, "Oh, I need to go back home." But the thing is, home was really, really far away from the center. I just didn't want to stop talking to this guy. It was just so charming and so nice.
And I didn't want to stop talking to Maria, but it was already 10 p.m.
No, it was later.
Or 11?
It was like 12.
No, it wasn't 12. It was before, it was like 11, I think.
Okay, and so I look at my phone, and I knew that the trains were still running.
And I checked my phone, and I saw that the trains ran till midnight. And I'm like, Maria, you know what? The trains are closed. I better walk you home.
I was like, yeah, that seems about right. Yeah.
So we walked, like 45 minutes or something?
45 minutes, like an hour.
Yeah, it was something like that. But it went by quick. Back to your friend's place.
And you asked me the questions.
I asked you,
the defining questions.
Yes. An important question. Very surface level small talk, which we hadn't got a chance to do.
Hey, I did ask a few things. It was not like it didn't jump right into what's your biggest fear.
No, you didn't. No. But so I'm like, so what do you like? What do you like to do?
And I am a very boring person. I like books. I like crime documentaries for obvious reasons, and I like fountain pens. But the thing is that I couldn't say that I liked crime documentaries if I wanted Ben to continue walking with me. Like, that's not a good thing to say on a first date. Books, everybody likes books. So what could I say to set me apart from like the huge amount of people that Ben had met until now? So, well, I didn't.
Yeah, the swarm of women who have been chasing after me. Yeah,
definitely. And I said, well, I like fountain pens. And now the thing is, I do like fountain pens, but it was a really recent addition to the things that I loved, because my love for fountain pens came from my criminal law professor. who sort of I was his teacher assistant for a while, and he sort of introduced me to this whole world of fountain pens. But it was like I had been into fountain pens for a year, and so I don't know why it popped into my head. It's like, yeah, I like fountain pens. And he turns around and he says,
I make fountain pens.
And I'm like, what? I didn't know that was possible. And I just felt it like a switch in my brain. Like, yeah, this is it.
Creativity, connecting people, right? Did we tie it back into did we do it? Did we connecting creativity, which is the theme of the show, right? But yeah, no, I like making fountain pens and ballpoint pens too.
No, but I mean, if we're talking about creativity, the fact that we met was really because of your creativity. Had you not been jumping up and down with your customers on your feet, I wouldn't have even like.
Yeah, I was drawing a lot of attention to myself. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, and I sort of feel like since I met you, I've been introduced to this whole array of people who enjoy creating and doing things and music and arts, and like your friends all play music, and Ben Hansen is an artist.
Henson. Ben, she still thinks your last name is Hansen.
But
I tell her every time.
Oh God. Well,
yeah, no, I have a lot of creative friends, which was sort of the inspiration for this show.
Yeah. And like
you're no exception.
Well, the thing is that within law, the people that you meet have.
Because you study law.
Yes.
I don't know if we mentioned that.
I think so.
Okay.
Within law, there is the space for being creative is, it's different. You certainly have to be creative to answer legal questions because there is no certain answer to any question. So you have to sort of find the best way to solve a problem, and that requires creativity. But it's not as in your face as other things.
I guess so, but isn't that sort of what separates art and science, or art and like math and science? Is that art, there's really no right answer. It's sort of about, speaking. How do I put this in a way that doesn't sound super pretentious? It's just a way of speaking to somebody's heart, right? But then math, it's 2 + 2 is not 5, and you cannot convince anybody otherwise.
Yeah, well, I got into law because I was terrified of maths, because there is just one single answer. I never could get it right. And I was like, at least within law, you have 800 answers, which is a problem in itself, because if your teacher doesn't like your answer, then you're screwed. But yeah, I sort of within law, and if you've ever been to a law faculty, you don't see people like painting or doing things that you would consider more creative. But there are certain places and things that you can do to tie it back. And I just feel that after I met you, I'm way more like I realized the connection way more. And especially since now I'm learning about copyright and patents and like creative processes.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, actually, I do need to know how music is produced, because there is a tie with the legal world, and I need to understand what it means. I need to understand why painting is sold this way or the other.
I have a theory.
Yeah.
I have a theory that everybody has some sort of creative outlet. And I like discovering what that is, because it usually, when you figure out what it is that makes somebody tick, which often is artistic, it's something creative, maybe, I don't know, scrapbooking even, or arranging flowers. Like, everybody has something, and I just love figuring out what that thing is. And the two of us, of course, we have like a lot of those things.
Well,
but yeah, no, it's fun and makes great conversation that can be recorded for a podcast.
Oh, wow.
Where were we? Okay, wait. Let's try to go back to the story. So, make fountain pens, stole your heart.
Yes. Walked me home, decided not to enter because he was terrified of the guy.
Can we say?
Well, yeah.
The friend of Maria's dad happened to be a colonel from the Colombian military living in Portugal. So I was like, Maria, she invited me, and Maria, there's no way in hell I'm entering this house.
It was really cold outside, and so I got us some blankets, and we just sat down, and you did magic tricks, which was...
Did I do some magic tricks?
I think so.
Yeah,
and it's like,
sounds about...
Yes. You also climbed a pole. So that
You
was
did climb a pole.
yes.
I don't know why I thought. Look, we had a couple sangrias and some port wine. I get
it was
reckless.
very impressive.
I get reckless when I'm tipsy. I like to do acrobatics.
He knows how to climb things. This
Yeah,
one I like.
But yeah, no. So we ended up sitting down and just chatting on the doorstep. We probably arrived around like 11:30, 12, and just talked until I think it was 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then it got late, and Maria was going to Fatima, right?
Yes.
The next day.
My mom had paid for a tour for me to go to Fatima, to Ovidos and Ocampo, and I was really excited. And so
Those are Portuguese towns.
yes, and Fatima is like this big Catholic place, and everybody wants to go to Fatima. And the tour began like at 7, and it was already like 4 a.m. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And so I went in. You went back to your hostel somehow. I never I didn't think about it, but now thinking back at it, must be terrifying.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was so creepy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all your fault. I still blame you for it.
Well, you could have entered. Like, imagine this guy comes into my room and he just sees you.
I imagine that, like, I would step in the door and there would just be, like, an old man with a shotgun pointed at my face.
Oh, no.
I don't know. How it's like. I never met the guy.
And so I went to Fatima, to Ovidos and Ocampo and the monastery of the Batalha. And Ben wrote to me, hey, I had a wonderful time. I would really like to see you again. But I was terrified. This hadn't happened to me ever. Like a guy trying to impress me, inviting me out. What? And I didn't know what to say. Look, I knew what to say, which was an emphatic yes. But at the same time, I didn't know when to say.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
you
want to
left me on red for so long.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. I was only extremely stressed and freaking out. But you eventually.
I did answer.
I invited. What I did is I invited her for food.
Food.
And of course, yes. And so she's like, yeah, of course. All right. So yeah, no. So she eventually said yes. And so I decided that I would prepare her my specialty dish. It's called, forgive me Italians, I'm going to do my best. Aglio e olio.
Oh, God.
Aglio e olio. Aglio e olio.
Alio.
Which is garlic and oil. It's a very simple Italian Roman dish, it's very simple. It has just a few ingredients. Pasta, water, oil, and garlic and salt. But I don't think salt and water counts. It's really just pasta, garlic, and oil. Which means that every one of those ingredients has got to be pretty good. You need fresh garlic, of course. You need purified water. You need refined, or not refined, but like a very nice tasting olive oil, which is not hard to find in Portugal. It's like $10 for a big bottle of it. It's great. But finding the pasta was difficult because you can't just use freaking Barilla pasta or any of that.
No. My family only uses Barilla pasta.
But you guys don't cook like very sensitive. Well, that's the thing about but this pasta dish is really difficult to make because it's so simple, and because you're trying to make a creamy sauce without any cream. You mix oil and water to make cream, which is like, what? That doesn't happen. Oil and water don't mix together, and it certainly doesn't make cream. So what you need is a really nice, high-quality pasta that will release a lot of starch into the water, and then the water that you use for the sauce is really thick because it has all that pasta starch in it, and it emulsifies in with it's an emulsifying agent, right? So it combines in with the oil and links it to the water, and it makes this really nice, luxurious, luscious, velvety sauce.
Delicious pasta.
In theory.
In theory?
I couldn't find any of the nice pasta. So I went to like 3 or 4. And we were like, Portugal's right next to Italy. I mean, come on. There's no excuse. But I went to so many different grocery stores just trying to find. Even I would settle for Diceco even. I love Diceco. I sound like such a tool. And but I finally found something that could kind of work. Brought it back to the hostel. And finally, Maria arrived later on in the evening, and I cooked her a really nice dinner for the two of us.
It was the first picture that I ever took of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that we took of each other. Of ourselves.
Of each other?
Yeah, I took one of you and you took one of me, but we weren't. But no. No, that we took of ourselves.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was good. It came out all right. I cheated. I used butter, which helps emulsify it if you don't have super high quality pasta.
Look, it was
Don't
the
yell at me,
most
Italians.
delicious meal I had during my whole trip. I had it during
It
my
came
whole
out all
trip.
right. I was happy with it. So then after, Maria says, I better get going. I say, okay, let me walk you home. So we walked an hour back to the Colonel's house and sat on the doorstep.
Yes, and I told you about the bad news. I was going to Porto the next day.
Yeah, and meanwhile I'm here. I have nothing to do. I'm sleeping with a bunch of sweaty dudes next to me. These guys were
sleeping with a bunch of strangers.
I was not, but yeah, but I was literally, and it was terrible. And I just wanted yeah, I was like, well, you know what? I was planning on staying here another night or two, but screw it, I'll go with you to Porto.
And I was like, what?
What?
Keep in mind, I barely knew this guy. He was already saying that he was coming with us. Like, Jesus Christ.
Meanwhile, like just a few weeks before this, I was sticking my thumb out and just going wherever whoever stopped decided to take me. So the fact that I knew where I was going was more than I had been used to, yeah. and it was great. So we sat down, bought the ticket.
Yeah, I gave you my computer. You bought the tickets in Omnio, and then. So
Omnio's a great website.
Yes. I was gonna say this is an unpaid advertisement. Great.
Yeah, if you want to sponsor us, Omnio is what you call it. Omnio. If you want to sponsor us,
please
you should do that.
Anyways, we bought the ticket. His ticket, my ticket was already. Was it for 6 a.m. or for 7 a.m.? It was really early.
It was early.
And karma is a wonderful and terrible thing because I said to Ben, "Hey, please don't be late. It's very, very early and I don't want to miss the train." And so we said, okay, you're going to go to your hostel to pack. I'm going to pack and we're going to meet each other at the station. And
meanwhile, wait, just sorry to cut you off, but meanwhile, I walked back to my hostel and this time we stayed talking until 5 a.m. So now I'm walking through Lisbon, a city that I do not know, in the absolute it's 5 to 5:30 a.m. is like the worst time to be walking by yourself. And there's this guy in his car who started like following me, kind of like he was driving really slowly. He's like, hey, you speak English? But like he wasn't like American, like, and it was really sketchy. And he just kept trying to get my attention. I was just sort of walking straight until finally I came across this group of people sort of hanging out, and they're like. They sort of like saved me, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry about that." The guy left. I was like, "Oh my God, thank God! Like, thank you guys so much for Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Want a bump?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "No, thank you, bye." And I ran home.
And in the meantime, I had called my mom and I told her everything, and then she said, "Okay, then pack." So I packed, and I was so tired, so. I said, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm just going to rest for a few minutes. I put my alarm on and everything. And the next thing I know, I receive a call from Ben. "Hey, Maria, I'm at the train station. Where are you?" I was like, shoot. Oh, my God. I was absolutely late. I think you could hear it when I answered the phone. I was like, yeah, I'm on my way.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt in my mind that she was asleep. She was like, yeah, I'm on my way. I'm like, no, you're not. I was at the train station.
I'm sorry.
Yes, no, it's okay. I forgive you.
I ran like 5 square. No, how do you say that?
You ran 5 square miles.
No, I was gonna
5 blocks.
They're blocks. There we go. Quadras. 5 blocks. With my bag that had lost one wheel, and so it was super heavy to carry. I took the bus. I almost took the one going to the other direction. I was crying my eyes out. The traffic was horrible, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's going to kill me." He finally arrived, and I see him there with 2 coffees and croissants, and the train had already left. I was like, shoot. Oh my God. I don't understand how you didn't blow up at me.
I was a little pissed, to be honest. But I didn't want to show it. But no, I was like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's go get new tickets. No problem.
Oh my God. At that moment I knew, if this guy doesn't blow up and call me names and tell me I'm the most horrible person on the planet, then
Yeah,
this
for
is
missing
it.
a train.
Well, I had never missed a train in my life or a plane or anything. It felt horrible, and they had made you lose your ticket, and then you bought me another one. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I'm smooth.
Yes, very much so.
But yeah,
Knight in shining armor, and then we took the train.
to Porto.
It was the first.
It's great.
Yeah, you fell asleep, and I was debating whether or not I should scratch your head, because you said somebody was scratching your head. I didn't know whether it was please do not scratch my head or please scratch my head.
I think I was asking you to scratch my head.
Well, I didn't understand. I was so terrified.
I fell
Like,
asleep right on your lap. Too.
yeah.
Oh, and it's so funny because Maria shows up and her shirt is backwards and her pants are inside out. I'm like, okay,
no,
Maria.
no. My pants were fine. My shirt was inside out.
And backwards.
No.
So something
it
was
wasn't-
inside out, something was backwards. I'm 100% sure of this. Her shoes were on the wrong feet. No, but the shirt was on backwards. And
No, it was because it was the black shirt. I couldn't put the backwards.
then it was upside down. She had her shirt on her pants, and she was on her legs, and then her pants on her head like a Santa hat. No,
God.
but yeah. So we arrive in Porto, and we have this amazing romantic experience, and we went on a walking tour, which I hated.
I love walking tours. Thank you for enduring them with me.
Yeah,
no, but the guy was super cool.
No, it was cool. Oh, and then remember, then the next day, funny enough, we went out to eat, the two of us, at some restaurant that we hadn't heard of. We were just walking around. Oh, this one looks cool. And there's some live music. We sit down, and a few minutes later, who sits next to us but our tour guide and one of the women on the tours.
Yeah.
And I thought it was
I thought that she was married.
no, she was married.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no,
That
they
was
were-
interesting, yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, how long have you guys been together?" And we're like,
3 days?
3 days." Like, wait, what?
No, but the thing is that we were talking so much that we almost missed the walking tour. Like the guy.
Oh my god, yeah, we just
walked-
wandered off completely. And then one of the people from the tour ran after us and was like, over here. And I was like, crap, I thought we lost them. No.
And then I
And
said
then
that I
what?
needed to go because I was going to visit Angela in Austria.
I was really bummed.
But you bought me a pen.
Yeah. So, and we went to a store and we looked at pens, and you fell in love with one of them was calling your name.
Yes.
And,
The
I was
Quaco.
like, what? I just spent $30 on dinner. Let's spend it on a pen for this girl. And she was so happy.
We still have this picture.
We
don't
do have the picture. It's a great picture. I've never seen somebody happier in my entire
It was
life.
a wonderful pen, and
It's
you
cool. A
helped me-
Quaco Sport.
Yes.
A purple Quaco Sport. It was a
Yes,
nice
yes.
fountain pen. And then she left for Austria. I continued my stay because I had I had a 1 month lease in Porto that started the day you left. So I went back there, and we spent about a month separate.
Mm-hmm.
Maria was in Austria for a week, right?
Yeah, Austria and Hungary.
And Hungary, and then ended up going back to Paris.
I went to
study.
Croatia,
and
and
to
then
Croatia,
And then to Paris, yeah.
and then to Paris.
And
Meanwhile,
I
was in
remember being
Portugal,
in
yeah.
Croatia in the top of a hill and just video calling you, and while having
remember that.
while having lunch,
nice.
and it felt like in a way we were always there afterwards.
But it sucked because I really liked Portugal, but the whole time I was just hoping that these 4 weeks would be up so I could catch my flight back to Paris, because my flight from Europe to the US, it arrived and left from Paris, so I had to do a loop. So I ended up flying from Porto to Paris, which had always been the plan in order to catch my return flight. But I was like, you know what? Why don't I just go a few days earlier and I can hang out with Maria a little bit? So then we had a very romantic experience in Paris.
In my 25 square meter, no, actually 10 square meter apartment.
Yeah, it was 10 square meters, which is, who the hell knows in
No
standard.
idea. Yeah.
And then...
You asked me to be your girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so I
Did
knit
you ask me to be your girlfriend?
No, it's because I...
Yes.
Yeah. Because I knit you a hat when I was in Porto and in France. I finished it in France. I brought it with me. So I knit you a hat. And then we went to the top of the Eiffel Tower. So I was like, this is going to be it. I went to the top of the Eiffel Tower and I presented the hat. And I said, Maria, I would like you to be my girlfriend. And she said, absolutely not.
Oh, come on.
Oh, no, she said yes.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Yes, very much so.
And
Oh, I was
that's how we
so
met each other,
happy.
right?
I think those are the happiest pictures that we have. I was
Yeah.
beaming.
But to be honest, I've been pretty happy for the past year.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
so that was on we met each other on June 28th, right?
July 28th.
July 28th, that's what I said. Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, now as we're recording this, it's August 10th. So it's been
Like a year,
a year and a
bit.
half
Yeah.
ish, year and 12 days. If I did the math right.
I
Yes,
don't know. I
yes,
don't
I
know
did.
maths.
13. How many days are in 30 days in September, April, June? Yeah, 12.
Okay. 12 days. But it's
going
been,
well.
it's
Yeah.
been the happiest thing in my life.
Yeah.
Meeting
me too.
you was, I think it was the best decision that I, like, it's fun because Sciences Po had always been my dream. And then I met Bennett and Sciences Po went to the window. Like, I didn't, like, no, nothing
Yeah.
compared to being with you.
But yeah, no, but then, so then I went, we hung out for a week. It was awesome. Then I went back to the US for a week.
Yes.
And I was
For
like,
a week? No, it was
yeah.
more.
No,
It
it was either 1 or 2 weeks.
It was like 3 weeks. It was like almost a month. I am sure.
All right, agree to
It felt like an eternity.
It felt like a very long time, but it was only a few weeks. And I was like, you know what? I was playing because I had wanted to go back and like sort of like live in Portugal for a few more months.
Yeah.
Until the end of the year, and then I was like, you know what? I didn't love Portugal once Maria left. It was just lonely, and I was like, you know what? I'd rather be in my second favorite, well, one of my favorite European cities than my favorite city alone. You know what I mean? So I went back and got a little tiny apartment in Paris, right down the street from Maria's, and we just hung out for another 3 months.
Yeah, and you were my savior.
It's great.
Yeah, I remember coming back to my apartment and seeing you with dinner ready, and you had gotten a basil plant that was hanging in my window. I was like, oh, this is life.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was like super lonely while you were in class. But
Oh, I'm sorry.
no. But I did a lot of walking. We were on Rue Mouffetard. Do
Yes.
you want to say that in the French accent?
Rue Mouffetard.
Rue Mouffetard. Rue Mouffetard.
Right next to the Pantheon.
Beautiful.
For anybody
Absolutely. It's such a gorgeous street.
Yeah,
too.
it's the fifth arrondissement, so it's like the center of everything.
Yeah, but like we explored a lot of Paris, and other than the Montmartre area, I think personally, that Rue Mouffetard was the prettiest street in
Oh,
Paris.
definitely.
I did a lot of street performing, even though it's illegal in Paris and Lisbon. But like, whatever.
Yeah.
Sue me. Put me
You
in jail.
did it in front of a police station.
Accidentally.
And
No,
the guys just knocked on the...
But yeah, okay. So let's tangent real quick. Was it a year or 2 years before this whole story? I went to Madrid on an exchange program with Suffolk University, where I went to school.
Astronomy?
Yeah, it was cool. I took a 1 month astronomy class over the summer to get my science credit in, and while I was there, I was sitting and I was having a tortilla, a Spanish tortilla, the inferior kind of tortilla. Yeah.
What?
That's right. The Mexican tortilla.
No.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Are you kidding me?
No.
The
The
Mexican-
Spanish tortilla is the best tortilla. I'm sorry.
Okay, we're gonna have to rethink this relationship. And no, so I was sitting there having a baguette, a Spanish baguette with Spanish tortilla, and there's this guy playing music. He's playing upright bass. And I went up to him and I said, "Hey, I don't have any money." No, I'm kidding. No, I went up to him and I think I gave him like a euro or something. But while I was sitting at the table listening to him, I painted him because I thought he was very cool looking. He was like dressed in sort of like a 1920s outfit with like a funky hat on, and he was singing this old, like 20s music with an upright bass of all things, which is just cool to see out in the wild. So I painted a little picture of him and followed him on Instagram and stuff and like posted it, right? And then like we followed each other on Instagram. So then like a year or two later, when we're back in France, I posted a picture saying that I was in Paris, and he DMs me and he goes, wait, you're in Paris? I just moved here like less than a week ago. And I was like,
No.
let's go busking. Yeah. So we
Oh,
went.
he was wonderful.
Oh my God. Yeah. Jarek. Jarek is his name. He's the coolest guy ever. He's like, it's funny because I can never make friends my age. All of my friends are older than me.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think he's like in his early 40s or something. And he's just like this sweetest guy ever. And so we were just sort of a duo when Maria was in class. We would meet up and we would go street performing. I would play guitar, he would play bass, and we both sing and do harmonies. And it
In
was
front of the police station.
so great. Yeah, we accidentally performed in front of a police station, but they did very politely tell us to off, which was nice.
Yes.
And then, but yeah, no, and performing in Room of Tart, and people loved it. It was just great. And no, we did not earn any money, but it was just great, like seeing people singing and dancing and clapping. And it was near Christmas time at one point. We got like Santa hats and we got Christmas lights and decorated and like put Rudolph stickers on the bass and stuff. It was really fun.
And the thing is, for me, this was a whole new experience, like seeing people busking. I had
There's
obviously there's
here.
buskers in Bogota, but like you have to at the comment that like when you're out in Bogota, you don't stop in the street to stare at people. You go from point A to point B, and because it's well, I'm not going to fall into the stereotype of Colombia is so dangerous, but Bogota is
you want
dangerous.
to keep on moving.
Yeah, so you don't stand in front of people and listen to them the same way that you can. Well, you do, and I want to kill you for it.
But more than anything, I think it's like, okay, if you're going to stop for a minute and listen to a street performer, that's fine. But to be a street performer and stand out there with like expensive instruments and speakers and microphones for like 3 hours at a time, that's maybe not a good idea. People do it, but I think usually the people I see busking, not the restaurant musicians, but the people out on the street really need the money. You know what I mean?
No, and the thing is that I had never like had the chance of seeing people perform like that. Like my friend Daniel, he plays guitar and everything, but you never see them out and about playing around. So
it's different.
Being in the Room of Tart in the dead of winter and seeing you guys having fun with the Christmas lights and just everybody stopping by and that fun, just like that was such a defining moment for me. It was like, wow.
Street performing is maybe that's the overall theme of the episode.
Yeah.
Because it has really impacted my life in such amazing ways. Like not only for gaining confidence to just stand up and like just sing at the top of my lungs even when people don't necessarily want to hear from it.
I mean, it was what attracted me to you in the first place.
But yeah, and the people I've met, like you and Jarek and the Q-Tip Bandits I met while they were street performing. Great band. Check out the Q-Tip Bandits. They're a Boston local band. I absolutely love them. But it's been great. I've made, in Boston especially, you can make some really good money. Learn how to deal with the police when they kick you out, which is frequently in Europe. God. And but if it wasn't for street performing, I wouldn't have met you and you wouldn't have noticed me.
Yeah, and I remember all these places that we went to in France, and you took your guitar and just went into a corner and just began.
I was like, what? Remember we were in the subway station. We were just waiting for the train, and like you just turn around and I'm just sitting there singing, what? And like I think I made like 10 euro cents. It's like nice.
Yeah, it's a thing that I had never imagined like people could do.
Highly recommend it. If anybody's out there and you like to play music, because for me it was like I do this anyway. I just play guitar, ukulele in my room and sing to myself. There's a very like little difference between doing that in your room versus doing it outside, other than just like the mental like confidence part. And of course it's terrifying the first time, but
and every time after that.
No, but well, yeah. I mean, I can't say that I'm never nervous at all, but you get used to it, and it really, I think, builds your like performing chops. Not that, honestly, I'm not, and don't say anything because I know you're going to try to disagree with me because you're really nice. I'm not like an expert musical performer, but I like to do it, and I have a lot of fun, especially when it's out on the street, and I'm able to contribute to a city's ambiance, right?
And after I met you, I think
ambience.
ambiance.
Ambiance. Oh,
I've watched you perform countless times afterwards. Like, I know all your songs. I know the order. I know, like, what are you doing? I know your last song. I know when you're playing with the crowd. And it's like, it's so fun. And now when I see street performers here, I mean, I won't tell you that I stay to see them, but I have gained appreciation for what it is. Like sitting down in Kuhuba doing my work and just
Kuhuba's a
watching
restaurant here.
watching you perform, and sitting down in a Whipil and seeing you perform.
Whoopi's a restaurant, make a message.
It's been very, very interesting. And like before I met you, like these things, audio, like I don't know, this Focusrite thing.
Shout out to Focusrite, unpaid sponsor. Make sure to get your Scarlett interface today.
God. What I didn't know what an interface was. I didn't know what people had to do to record and produce music. And now, after I met you, and I know what Ableton is, and I can see the thing moving up and down and forward. I'm like,
Yeah.
all this work that goes into music that I never knew.
And the performing is one thing, and then the recording is a whole other animal. And that's really what I've been sort of focusing on these days, is the recording and mixing and production side of things. Because that I think that skill, or that area of what's the word I'm looking for? That dedication, like that area of dedication, I think that fits me better, because I'm not an instrument, like I'm not like Hyder, for example. He is a flautist and he destroys it. He is insane. Joel, that's a bad example.
Yeah.
He plays everything. Victor is a drummer and he plays like nobody I've ever met. I'm not like an expert. I mean, yeah, I play guitar like well enough to play in a band on a stage, but not well enough to be famous for playing guitar or like anything, or to get success from playing guitar. But I like to play, well, maybe, I don't know, who knows. But I like to play a lot of different instruments, and I like to do a lot of different things and be well-rounded, which is definitely what you want from a producer. Because, you know, with a producer, you're maybe not singing on every single song that you're working on, but if they need a background vocalist, you should be able to jump up and say, sure. Or if they need a bassist, you should be able to jump up and say, okay, I got it. It doesn't mean you have to play it as well as Flea or somebody like that, but you got to be able to like fill in the gaps. And I like doing that. I think that's fun.
And the fact that you sort of learned all of this by yourself, it's
with YouTube.
Because you were talking about it like earlier, like how it's really, really fun to find out what creative outlet people have. And so when you told me that you've learned all of this, you just sat down once, download the thing.
Yeah, one time.
Well,
no, but yeah.
And like you've been polishing your craft over the years, but you never took like an actual course. And it's parallel to my learning on Canva, because my creative outlet is Canva. And
graphic design, yeah.
Yeah, and I learned it because I had to, because my university newspaper needed like remodeling of their social media, and I was like, oh, this tool is very, very fancy, and I just began to design, and the first designs were horrible. And then you close your eyes and you've done 300 designs, and you have all these things that you know now, and it's fun. It's fun to learn these things.
Yeah, and no. So a lot of people, this is just something I've been thinking about lately, but a lot of people say that they're self-taught, and I hate that. There's only one person on the entire planet who's self-taught in anything, and that's Joel with piano, okay? Because Joel literally just like over the course of a few years would just sit. Joel's my good friend. You guys will meet him soon, I'm sure. He would sit down at the piano and just like plunk around and just figured it out. And I don't think he could, I mean, I'm sure he could read piano music, but that's not what he focused on. He just focused on just playing and improvising on piano, which is crazy. But everybody else, when they say they're self-taught, no, you're not. You learned from a book, or you learned from a YouTube video.
Yeah,
and who wrote the book, and who made the
YouTube video?
Okay, then you're self-taught in Canva. But I'm not self-taught by any means. I like to think that I have had hundreds of teachers.
But that's an ability.
Some of them I don't even know in person.
Like you're the only person I know that can watch a YouTube video about bear carving and just
I like
sit down and carve a bear the next moment.
That was a fun bear to carve. But no, but I don't think so, because that's what a lot of people. Oh wow, that's so impressive! You're so talented. No, I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
you
just
are.
no, but I'm not. I'm just a regular guy who likes to watch YouTube videos and gets bored and just antsy. And I really genuinely. No, I don't think I know that if somebody wants to learn how to do something, all they have to do is sit down, watch a few videos on it, or talk to a friend, or just try it out, and you'll figure it out. Like it's not particularly hard for the vast majority of people. It's just a matter of doing it.
I think that's an interesting thing that I've gotten out from knowing you. I used to think that you were either very, very good at something or you didn't even try. And I think that's a very toxic mentality, because like I'm not really good at painting, but I like painting sometimes. And so being creative is also about trying and failing and just doing it because you like it and because it's fun. It's not just because you want to be really, really, really good at it.
There's not a single person in the entire world. I mean, everybody says this, but nobody sits down and just is good at something the first time. And you don't have to be good at something in order to have fun with it. I don't like when I'm like, oh, do you like to sing? And people are like, well, I'm not good at it. Okay, that was not my question. Like, I don't know, it's weird. I'm super mediocre at so many things, and I love doing them, and I love learning and trying to improve. And I think that's really fun. And I don't know, if I was able to draw really well, I don't think I would like drawing as much, because then what? Where's the challenge? Where's the fun?
Yeah.
Where's the improvement? Yeah, fun. Like learning new hobbies.
You did taught me how. No, teach me. There we go. I'm tired.
I know,
my
me
English
too.
is slipping.
We've been talking for over an hour, you know.
Have we?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
Oh God.
No, we're at 65 and a half minutes right now.
It feels like we just began.
It doesn't feel like not even a half hour, but what were you
we're
saying?
very much in love. What was I saying?
Teach?
You taught me how to do pens, and I was like, oh
Yeah,
my
how to make pens.
God.
And was it hard?
No.
No.
But
No.
like, because I had you.
Yeah, but okay, it's easier to learn when there's somebody looking over your shoulder, but not by that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Remember when I just said nobody does anything perfect the first time? My first pen came out really darn good, actually. And maybe it's just that like pen turning is an easy thing to sort of pick up. It's maybe
Except
hard.
when the blank explodes and you go upstairs crying because you exploded.
We've all been there. We've all been there. No, but there's a different learning curve. It's not a steep learning curve, but it is hard to make really complex inlays on pens and to do. It's easy to make your first pen and to make it look pretty good. Yeah. As long as you have access to the internet or like a person to help you out, making something really complicated and perfect, that's a different story. But yeah, I really think it's just a matter of picking it up and
finding your creative outlet too. Going back to that same idea, like I found out really recently that some of my professors, my legal theory professors, they created a rock band.
Nice.
And they have a podcast in which they discuss like legal matters and rock. Basically,
that's sick.
And it's been like it's like two seasons already. And these guys are Harvard educated top professors, law professors who talk about Kelsen and the rule of law and Hart. And it's like, they can be that, but they can also like music and rock and like all these things. And I can be a very fancy lawyer and still do Canva designs. And sometimes I prefer doing Canva designs than like legal matters. Mm-hmm. And it's just finding what you like and knowing that you don't have to be perfect at it. And it's completely natural and just have fun with it.
Fun, yeah, exactly, right? So I had planned on us telling, a little brief story about how we met and then talking about like language and stuff, which we didn't even touch on, and we're already like way over.
I mean, if you want, you can cut out a bit of the story.
Well, I think this has earned itself a part 2. What do you think?
if you want, if you guys want me, Ben basically told me come here and record.
Yeah, it's funny. No, that's the the Nike just do it mentality, right? You're like, well, what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it.
Oh God.
It's just having a conversation, except you're talking into a microphone.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember to tune in every Saturday at 6 a.m. We have a new episode dropping where we just converse, light conversations with all of my creative friends.
And a girlfriend.
And girl, well, you're my friend too, though. Take care.
Bye-bye.